Oh, for fuck's sake.
From Lewis in the Black Horse Pub.
It looks very peaceful, doesn't it? But it's not. TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. Because believe me, from the moment that I actually got out of bed and hit my head on the ceiling, I have to bounce to get out of bed, you see. The old park keys makes it difficult for me to do anything normal. So I bounced out of bed and hit my head on the ceiling, and since then, nothing has gone right. Absolutely nothing has gone right. I've sent a chair crashing across the pub floor. I've dropped their stuff, our stuff, everybody's stuff. The great bang and a clatter. Fortunately, nothing is broken except me. And I'm not sure how soon I'll last. But Mom said, keep smiling through. You know, whenever John Henty is here, who was off at the spectacular for ABBA yesterday, we always come up with some old songs. And I remember one, keep smiling through, don't know where, don't know how, or something of the sort. But anyway, there I am, smiling through. Yeah. Okay. Let's have a look at the weather. Oh, it's going to be 15 degrees today, and it's going to be 17 tomorrow, and 18 on Monday. Oh, let's have a look. Let's keep going. Tuesday back to 12. Wednesday 13, starting to gradually come up again till next weekend. Woo! Mild weather, but I'm afraid not much better in terms of the rain. Today, it's going to rain. Well, it's not so much the rain, it's the gusty winds. And when I came in on the trusty Red Devil this morning, did I feel it? Oh boy, did I feel it. It damn near blew me off my perch, off my pilot seat. And the rain beat into me. And I thought, this is what it's like when you start off a novel. It was a what is it? Stormy and windy day. Yeah, sure was, and sure is. However, no sun today. The sun has gone away, but tomorrow we're going to get sunny spells. I tell a lie. About 4 o'clock this afternoon, we are going to get. Are we? Yes, 4 o'clock this afternoon, we're going to get some sun. But that's all, I'm afraid. The rest is going to be stormy, windy, and rainy. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Here we are. Very badly prepared today. Never mind. Never mind the weather, as long as we're together. Do I look careworn? I feel it. Oh dear. But I think there must be thousands of you out there feeling exactly the same way, and thousands of you who put a smile on your face. And you know, I don't see that many people coming to work because it's bloody early. But those people that I do see are really, really charming. And they are all colours and all creeds and all sexes. And when I say good morning, I get a cheery good morning back. So it isn't all a bad Friday. Not all. Just my Friday is bad. But I shall put a brave face on it. I might as well, for all the bad news that comes pouring through these last few days. And let's take a look at the news headlines, shall we? Right. Joe Biden takes center stage. He better not trip. Center stage is not his strongest standing point. Right. Is The Guardian. Biden demands Gaza ceasefire in the strongest rebuke yet to Israel. Featured on several front pages this morning is Joe Biden's phone call with Benjamin Netanyahu, during which the US president said his country's support for Israel would depend on steps being taken to address civilian harm and humanitarian suffering in Gaza. The Guardian labels this his strongest rebuke yet. Oh, Michael Douglas is getting naughty in the Telegraph. The banner headline is Michael Douglas, we filmed without intimacy coordinators. And there's a picture of him nibbling on the ear of some film star. I think what he's saying is nobody told them how far they could go and how far they couldn't go. Right. Hang on. Just give me a moment, because I heard a little beep. Oh, Mr. Phillip is there with me. Good morning.
Just checking that you're okay, Anchorman.
Yes. What I do is I'm like the iceberg with lots under the water, but what you see is jolly.
Yes, as opposed to the icy depths.
Yes. Yes. Our dear Ada hasn't turned up this morning. So the chairs, which you noticed yesterday, and which I think you will see aren't in evidence today, I had to move myself. And they are very, very heavy pub chairs.
Yes, I bet they are.
So I lost my balance with both of them, and they went skittering across the pub floor and taking me with it. That was a good start to the day. And then,
well, you've remained cheerful as ever.
Well, you know, John Henty and I share memories of Itmar. Do you remember Itmar, or are you too young?
I really don't remember Itmar. I'm sorry, no.
Right. Well, it was a World War II radio program with Tommy Hanley, and it was the nation's favorite. And he used to have this bunch of characters that he met: Mrs. Malaprop, Colonel Chinstrap, and so on. And there was one that was Monalot, and she would always end up the conversation by saying, and he would say, "Goodbye, Mrs. Malaprop," and she said, "Yes, and it's being so cheerful that keeps me going." I feel like Mrs. Malaprop this morning.
Yeah, I completely. Well, look, as long as you're okay, I just thought I'd check in.
No, yeah. Well, if you're available for a chat, actually, I'm just going through the news headlines. Let's see what your take is on it. Sorry to kidnap you, but
no. I volunteered to do this. Biden seems to have persuaded Netanyahu to open up more gateways for aid.
Yes, the newspaper headlines are just a bit behind that. What they are reporting is that he got tough with Netanyahu, and I've never envisaged. I don't know about you. I've never envisaged Biden as a tough man. Somehow, he's always seemed to me to be the diplomat. What's your reading?
Yes, yes, I think you're right, but he isn't where he is without being steely.
No, that's true. Actually, I was talking to somebody else the other day, and I said, top people, they don't get there by being nice. So,
Well,
despite
that's
the fact
exactly
that a
what
lot of our
Harry
leaders,
said.
yeah,
It was Harry who said that to us.
Was it? Yes.
Yes, ever astute Harry. So, what else do your headlines?
Let's take a look. The eye goes with the eye follows up on Biden. Sunak urged to publish legal advice on arms sales to Israel.
Yes, well, he's been more than urged. The human rights people, plus a couple of Palestinian organizations, are threatening to take the government to court because they think that the British government is in breach of international law by continuing to supply weapons to Israel, and they're going to go to court to demand that the government discloses its lawyers' advice, because there has to be somewhere government legal advice. The government are saying it's entirely confidential. I imagine applying lawyer-client immunity or privacy, but there is a threat that they're going to go to court on this to try and stop Britain supplying Netanyahu.
Can you imagine in his day this sort of thing happening to Churchill?
No, it's unimaginable. No.
We really have got ourselves into a muck, haven't we?
Well, I'm afraid we have. I mean, again, I come back to the man from Normandy. He has very clear and extreme views in many ways. He says, don't take me seriously, but a lot of what he says is correct.
Yes.
And he has absolutely no respect for the current main parties. And nor do I.
And neither do I. I haven't done it lately, but I used to open up this program each morning by saying there are 650 MPs in the House of Commons, and I wouldn't give you tuppence for any of them.
Well, yesterday you answered a question of mine by saying that there should be a lot of good thinking in Parliament as litigators, good thinking. Now, I can't think, no pun intended, of anybody on either side that is capable of good thinking. These are generally untrained people, remember?
Yeah.
They will have done a variety of things. So, we've got Sunak in his financial guise as a businessman. We've got Starmer, who, he didn't work at the legal coalface. He worked faffing around with human rights. It was all rather trendy stuff. And that's where he made his reputation. But the rest of it, can you imagine being in the hands of Angela Rayner and Diane Abbott? It's the same on the Tory side. I can just about gather a level of respect for Jeremy Hunt. But that, frankly, is about it. Well, David Cameron, but he doesn't sit in Parliament because he's a peer. But I'm glad Cameron's there, because at least he's making clear statements about Ukraine, which we were not doing before.
Yes.
But
I find your comments about Jeremy Hunt interesting, because we've just said that probably the people that succeed at the top are really tough. And up until just a couple of years ago, I belonged to what are commonly known as gentlemen's clubs, and the foreign secretary was a member by right, and Jeremy Hunt was the foreign secretary at the time. Now, I didn't personally chat to him. I was never there when he was, except I saw him passing through on one occasion. But the secretary told me that of all the sort of guest members, he was the least likable. That he was very rough and tough, and so I think your backing is the right one.
Yes, I mean, I'm not backing him as a person. I'm backing him as an operator.
Yes,
because at the end of the day, you need somebody who knows what they're doing, which you may agree is where we went wrong with Boris.
Yeah, exactly.
Who didn't have the first idea how to govern. You know, I mean, that chap whose name escaped, Patrick Cummins, was it?
Yes.
Who ended up giving evidence and then in an inquiry. I believe him. He said Johnson hasn't the first idea how to govern a country. You know, he's inept. It's all fluff and bluster with Johnson.
Well, maybe the answer is to be all fluff and bluster, and to be a charismatic leader and not have a clue with what you're doing, as long as you accept that and put around you decent people. But he didn't.
But he didn't do that because he didn't do it.
No, the present cabinet were his acolytes, weren't they?
Yes, well, precisely. You've got your cronies. It's cronyism. And two combined reasons, in my personal opinion. One, there may have not been anybody any good anyway. And B, yes, he wanted his yes people. And he wanted them to do what he wanted them to do. So they became, I don't know, pointless, empty vessels.
Yes.
Really.
Mind you, Phil, you could have said the same thing about Margaret Thatcher. The only difference is that she actually did fill the places with people of substance.
My goodness! I was about to draw that analogy. I don't think Thatcher actually. They weren't her cronies because she ruled them with a rod of iron.
Yes.
You know, it's rather like saying Hitler had cronies. I mean, you know, Thatcher knew exactly what she was doing. She was extremely switched on, whatever you felt about her policies. And she knocked them all into shape. And if they didn't stay in shape, she got rid of them. Instance, Geoffrey Howe. You know,
yes.
Who Dennis Healy famously once said that being challenged by Geoffrey Howe was like being mauled by a dead sheep. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
And you know, Healy was a good politician.
Yes. I met Healy a couple of times, and of course he lived in our part of the woods.
What, Sussex?
Yeah.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
In fact, I think it was either Helsham or the little village just outside Lewis. But yes, he was.
What, Kingston?
This was his neck of the woods.
Right, interesting. Yeah, I mean, the current lot, I'm afraid, are pretty average at best, and there is no meaningful opposition. Yeah, there'll be an election and the Tories will get booted out. We all know that. They're split, not even down the middle. They're fragmented on many issues.
Yes.
I mean, it's like mini America at the moment with the Israeli thing, because there's a big lobby in Parliament pro-Israel, and then there are other factors. So it's all fragmented, and you just don't know where you are. It's just a kaleidoscope, isn't it?
It's interesting, Philip. I don't know whether this is general across the country, but when we've had strong leadership in the federal parliament, the national parliament, we've generally speaking had a very high standard in local government.
Yes.
And when we've got poor governance in Westminster, we have a very poor local government, and
Yes,
it's showing this way now.
Yes, it's egregious. It seems to trickle down in that way. It's a negative, a negative force, and you know, I mean, I don't want to set Stuart off again, but I actually find it really odd that Lewis Council are now based in Eastbourne. I find that really strange.
I know it is. It's the sort of stupid thinking that goes on though at that level, and then they expect us to take it seriously.
I mean, so we are talking Lewis Town Council.
Lewis has got 3 levels. Strangely enough, it's got a town council, which just looks after the town itself.
Yes.
It's as the late. This is my senility kicking in.
The tobacco shop man.
Yes, that's right. Yes, and I knew his name the moment I started the sentence, and then I forgot it the moment I got to it.
It's not just you that I do that all the time.
But he was a very astute politician. And he would he and I, well, he was my neighbor as well, and I'd known him for many years prior to his death. But he would say, you know, they are not checking each other. He said there's such a thing as a scrutiny committee, and he said half the time it doesn't meet, and when it does, is the executive, in other words, the paid officials, doctor the agenda. And we had the present, last year's leader of the council on, very nice young man, standing for Parliament for the Lib Dems in this constituency and probably will win. But I asked him about this, and he fobbed it off as, oh no, the scrutiny committee meets. Well, it doesn't. Not as a scrutiny committee, anyway. So nobody is under any sort of surveillance whatsoever. But the reason I started this was that when he was mayor, he said, really, it's an honour, and he fulfilled the role very well. But he said the town council is only really like an enlarged parish council.
Yeah, well, we have the same in Arundel, and I know about that because although I was a complete failure, and I was their town clerk for a while. They think of themselves really rather highly. But it is a glorified parish council, and they have absolutely no power, really.
No, none.
So,
but like everybody, they like to think that they can wield it.
Yes, well, so he was the mayor of the town council.
Yes.
That's the lowest level. What's the next level?
District. And that actually is the policymaker for Lewis District, which embraces 100,000 people.
Right. Pause for me. So where does the town council meet?
There is a town council office. There is a town hall.
Right. So the town council, like here in Arundel, meets at the town hall in Lewis.
That's right.
The next level up is district.
Yes.
And is it the district council that are now in Eastbourne?
Yes.
Right. But they were once in Lewis, were they?
Yes, they were up until about, I think the last vestige only left about 6 months ago.
Right. So the move to Eastbourne is simply another location in East Sussex.
Yes, actually, they have two separate councils, Lewes and Eastbourne Council, but the administration is merged.
So it is still Lewes District Council, but it sits in Eastbourne.
Yes.
Right.
No, actually, I think it sits here, but it's located in Eastbourne. I mean, if you've got a pothole, for instance, looking outside, I can't see a pothole at the moment, but if I wanted to complain about a pothole, I would phone a number which says Lewes, and they would say Lewes, and you would say, on Western Road, there's a pothole. And they would say, can you tell me where that is exactly? I'm not from Lewes.
Well, that's no good.
No, not at all.
I mean, I have to say, well, we are infested by potholes here. But our district council is Arran, the Arran District Council, as in the river.
Right.
And I must say, my dealings with them, I'm quite impressed, because their operatives seem to know exactly where I'm talking about, where I'm talking from. Because it's very frustrating when somebody does, I mean, for a district council representative not to know where the Western Road in Lewes is
yes,
pretty pathetic.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It is. I've just remembered his name. It comes back to me after a while. It's Stephen Catlin we're talking
That's
about.
it, Stephen Catlin, yeah.
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 Fine man. He's the only man who understood the process. They don't understand the process down there. They blatter on about things which are not under their bailiwick, as it were, and they break the rules left, right, and centre.
Yes, well, I'm not going to say that about Arundel Town Council, because they are actually pretty obsessed with standing orders and the way to do it properly. So, and that was one of the reasons for my downfall, because I just couldn't get my head around all that. But yeah, I mean, did he not keep a small garden, a public garden? Stephen?
Well, his Mirador is just waiting now to get approval to take this on as a project to raise some funds and to get it done. But yes, there is a strip of land which is now, I think he called it his common land, and it was a Pinwell Lane, and then it was cut off and so on. But it has at its entrance a gate from the Greyfriars monastery, friary, and that is sort of 700 or 800 years old. And then he created this lovely, only a tiny, but lovely secret garden, and people came from miles around to take a look through. Well, of course, the moment he died, because he tended it himself. I mean, he got one or two people to help, but he tended it himself. He supervised it. The moment he died, it was left to go to rack and ruin, and it's a disgrace. It's a bloody disgrace. But they don't feel disgrace. You see, they're all too busy saying, "Look, we sow seeds and grow lawns or whatever."
No, I know exactly what you mean. But returning to the news, do your papers tell you about the the Tory MP who claims he was forced to share other members of Parliament's telephone numbers with a dating app? I mean, you know, as Harry would say, plus ça change, plus c'est la même chose. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun, is there, Keith?
No, there is not. And to be quite honest with you, I think it is psychologists or psychiatrists, one of the two, or perhaps both, say that people who are in power have enormous sexual drive.
Yes, I suppose it goes hand in hand. Yeah.
Yes, and this one is. I mean, who knows the truth? But it seems to me as if he found a very nice brothel and handed it out to his mates and sort of said, you want to get laid, try this, uh, and some of them have tried it.
I mean, sleaze is always there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't mean that from a moral point of view. None of us have been or are saints, but sleaze, it seems to go hand in hand with power.
Yes, indeed.
There's a sense of entitlement almost, and these things will come along, arise all the time.
Yes.
All the time. But it's when he hasn't really he's been found out, it seems to me, and he's claiming that he was under duress in some way. And he was so scared by this that's what he did. I don't quite get my head around that, to be honest.
Well, who knows? It's a bit like my description of the iceberg. What we hear and what the facts are two different things. A lot of the facts never come out. Well, not until years later. I mean, I haven't watched it properly, but I just noticed that there's a series on at the moment about John Stonehouse. Do you remember him?
Yeah, I do remember him. My goodness, I do.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of what was reported at the time. It wasn't known until the researchers really got going to make a documentary.
Yeah. Have you heard the joke about the chap who went to the doctor and said, "Doctor, this is rather delicate, but I think I've got greenery growing out of my bottom." So the doctor has a look and says, "Yes, you're right, sir. It looks like a lettuce. And I'm afraid it's only the tip of the iceberg."
I have heard that one before.
So who's coming on shortly then, Keith?
I hope normally it would be Mark Maybe, Dr. Maybe,
yes.
who is another intriguing character. But he sent me a message yesterday to say that his internet was down and he got somebody coming first thing this morning to fix it. Whether in fact he'll be able to fix it or not, I don't know. But then after that, and sometimes together, we've got Melissa.
Yes, quite.
But she gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning to join us, as it is at 10 o'clock, at 10:30. So I'm a little loath to sort of say, would you like to come and join us now? But what I have done over the last couple of weeks is shown an episode of our documentary, The Bloody Past of a Tiny Town.
Yes.
And the population of Lewis has changed enormously, and most people in the population living within the city limits now haven't a clue about some of these things.
No.
So although it's a re-showing, I think I might just show episodes 1 and 2 ready for episode 3 next week.
Yeah, just go into the archive. I mean, you can't be expected to do. I mean, you were live at 8:15, so it's now nearly 8:45. And to carry on till 10:30 is asking. I mean, I couldn't do it, let alone you. You know. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you because the family are all getting up, and it's Oliver's last day today.
Oh, it's good to see you, Philip. If you feel like coming back in when Melissa is on, by all means do.
Well, that's tempting. She's very interesting.
Anyway, I mean, she's a very intelligent lady, as you know.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
with
Well, I'll tell you,
Biden sticking his head above the parapet, maybe well, very interesting because for once nobody's talking about Trump. What's he up to?
God knows. So is she 10 o'clock or 10:30?
Yes, thereabouts.
No, which you mentioned two times.
Yeah, well, it is. I send the link to her at 10, but depending on how quickly she's arisen, because as I say, it is 5 o'clock in the morning in New York. Uh, she sometimes has been known to come on at 10:35, but you just tap in to see whether I'm talking to her or not.
I'll do that, Keith. Now look
Yeah.
after yourself.
All right. Talk to you
Oh,
later.
did you speak to Cheeseman?
Oh yes, I sent you a note. You haven't caught up yet.
No.
I'm feeling very proud of myself because out of ignorance came a solution. I spoke to Paul. He sent me a list of things to do, but he said it'd be easier if I could see what the problem is. So I tried to take what I think is called a page photo or something.
A screenshot.
A screenshot, and I haven't a clue how to take a screenshot, but I vaguely remembered
Well, I sent
somebody
you
saying
a screenshot.
So, right, yes, you do. I don't know how to do it, but I tried it, and I pressed hard on the button, and suddenly it came up and said, "Well done, we've reconnected you. You don't have to worry." So I went down to it. Yes, I went back into StreamYard. I went back into StreamYard, and it's all clear. We've got no warnings or anything. So
Well, I'm very relieved about that because
Yes.
I won't pretend I was quite concerned.
Yeah. Well, at least we've got some experts to turn to now. I mean, your son is very helpful, and Paul Cheeseman, who we will be launching in the next couple of weeks as part of our team, is also very. He's a charming man and very helpful. And I think I told you last night that we've now got the first young man on our team, because I don't think that Joe is much more than 30, 35, a sportsman who is he plays a pretty fair level of cricket.
Yeah, you said yesterday.
And you yourself are interested in sports, so I did warn you that you'd be used a great deal. We'll probably put him together with you.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I like talking about cricket.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, I'll love you and leave you.
Yes, talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, there we are. I think we might. It's 20 to 9. I think we might just finish going through the papers so we've got a balance. So, yes, the Times, a senior Tory, I gave MPs members to Honeytrap. The Times leads on senior Tory William Ragg admitting to giving out the personal phone numbers of fellow MPs to someone he met on a dating app. Mr. Ragg said he shared the contacts and was scared the individual would have compromising things on me in an interview with the paper. He should have thought of that before he started to get his fingers dirty. Daily Mail, top Tory, I gave MPs numbers to sexting plotter. And the Honeytrap scandal gripping Whitehall also makes the Daily Mail's front page. The Daily Express, make no mistake, migrant flights to take off soon. We're determined to deliver and ready for any scenario, says a Home Office source. Make no mistake, goes the headline of the Daily Express. A Home Office source tells the paper that preparations are being made to block any attempt to delay or frustrate the progress of the government's Rwanda deportation bid. The Financial Times, rapidly becoming the paper of note. Chinese state banks hold the key role in the future of Thames Water. So the FT says 2 state-owned Chinese banks could be crucial in determining the fate of Thames Water. The firm is in a race to find extra cash after its investors said they would not give the struggling water giant any more money. The Daily Mirror. After 19 years, finally, justice in the name of Sharon. Gang ringleader Khan is guilty of murdering PC Beshenivsky in 2005. After 19 years, finally, a man has been found guilty of murdering a police officer by planning the armed robbery in which she was shot dead. And the Daily Mirror reports that Ditta Khan, 75, was the last of 7 men involved in the killing of PC Sharon Beshenivsky in Bradford on 18th of November 2005. He is the last to face trial. The Metro. Scoop. Stars of new Netflix film tells all about remaking that car crash TV interview with Prince Andrew. Dead soldier rope riddle revealed, tied up and trapped in the river. The Metro leads with a report on the inquest opening the Charlie Saywell. The inquest opening for Charlie Saywell. The soldier, 25, was found dead in the River Medway in Kent after vanishing on a night out. According to the paper, his body was discovered under a boat with his legs and torso bound by rope. That's a nasty one. The Sun. It's a good day for Charles. And he and Camilla are shown in, I think it's a photo fit, in summer clothes, safari clothes, as the king is raring to go on tour of Oz as cancer treatment goes well. A windswept King Charles and Queen Camilla take the Sun splash. A splash is the front page when it's very obvious. Standing on an Australian beach in 2018. The paper reports that the royal couple are planning a 2-week return visit in October after what he calls a positive start to the King's treatment for cancer. The Star. The question NASA ordered to answer the question we never knew needed asking. What time is it on the moon? The White House has directed NASA, or NASA, however you want to pronounce it, to establish a unified standard time for the moon. Answering the question we never knew needed asking, says the Daily Star. And just to remind you, because it's some time ago now, after chatting to Philip, President Joe Biden's call for a ceasefire in Gaza is the lead in The Guardian and The Telegraph. The Guardian's headline describes it as America's strongest rebuke yet to Israel since the start of the conflict. And the Daily Telegraph quotes a confidant of President Biden as saying that the US is at that point where it must consider putting conditions on arms sales to Israel. Well, there you go. That's it. We're now at 10 to 9. So we've opened up a can of worms that we haven't talked about recently. There are a number of issues locally that have cropped up over the last few months that we haven't got any issues to. I mean, the bus station is one. What was a scandal nobody seems to know what the hell's going on. the people building the new development on the land that was developed so beautifully by Mr. Every, the steel worker, is there are still worries about the type of housing they're going to build. And quite often, the promise and the reality are two different things. And by that time, councils are too weak to say, take it down, because there is too much at stake for them. And the bus stops at the bottom of School Hill. Are they permanent? What's happening there? There are all sorts of other issues that, was it right and proper to give Charleston rent-free premises, the old council chambers? Should they have been given it? It's all very well to say, well, they'll bring a lot of people into the town. There are a lot of things that will bring a lot of people into town. But that doesn't make it right and proper. The deal that was struck. So there are a number of things that we've forgotten about. And we certainly seem to have forgotten that we willingly sent our administration to live in Eastbourne. And it has not made it any easier or any better. The same problems exist. And the biggest problem of all is this month, our town council tax bills go up. Our council tax bills go up. But the figures that are being bandied around for how the spending went and how the allocation is are fictitious. They're just made up by council officials. Oh, they'll say, there's evidence of it. No, there's evidence that this is how much we spend and so on. Well, show us. Get those accounts checked and audited by a proper authority. I failed to do one of mine because it wasn't making any revenue. I forgot about it. I'm being hounded by the revenue every week. No, there's nothing to pay, but I'm being hounded because I haven't filed them. They haven't filed them for 4 years. I hope the revenue are hounding them. I hope that there's a very, very healthy fine so they don't do it again, because we haven't a clue where our money is going. Not a clue. Now, there are two options. Either the council doesn't want us to know where the money's going, because it's not where they basically said it would go, or it should go, or they're incompetent. One of the two. So are they being secretive, or are they just being useless? We need to know. We need to know. Now, we'll, as I said when we were talking to Philip, I'm going to show you a couple of documentaries, and then we are going to try for Dr. Mark Maybe and Melissa Conti, because it's been a funny week, short week, and it leaves things in a kerfuffle. I have no idea whether they are available or not, but we will most certainly see. But we'll be back in 5 minutes. Just before we go, I must give you a reminder, because the Chief of Staff, Declan, will get on my back if I don't actually tell you and remind you. That about these things that is going on. Let's see. No, there we go. Here we go. The pub quiz. Yes, the pub quiz. April the 14th. What's the date today? It's April the 5th. Is it? Yes. April the 5th. So April the 14th is the next pub quiz here. Starts at 8 o'clock. It's a couple of quid to enter. Very, very popular. So book your place. Book your place. And Sunday lunch. If I can find a Sunday lunch. Yes, there it is. And it's a splendid Sunday lunch. Splendid Sunday lunch. It tastes good. It looks good. It's a fair range of food. And the atmosphere is very jolly. Very jolly. You get a lot of families in here, all enjoying their Sunday lunch. Now, just before we take a pause, you probably can see that, let me see. Can you see it? Perhaps not. Perhaps no, there. I got sort of a sticky mouth this morning, and that's because it's a side effect of Parkinson's, and I suffer from the disease rather badly, and I've had some problems walking and not talking. No. I've had some problems walking and standing recently, and I got a nice little team from the NHS, who are actually an efficient part of the NHS. There's Freddie and Eunice and several other ladies, all of whom have been looking after me in conjunction with our morning presenter, Susie, who actually, I don't see her very often, but she comes and makes sure all my clothes are clean and my flat is tidy and so on and so forth. And between them, they've been looking after me. And let me tell you now that this is, it's called I think the Emergency Response Unit. If I'm not mistaken. But anyway, if I've got the name wrong, we know. You start off by getting paramedics and ambulance at your house, and they deal with the immediate emergency, which in my case was falling over and not being able to get up. I don't know whether that's ever happened to you. Oh, my golly, I'll tell you. It's frustrating because your mind is telling you that you can get up and your body is telling you no. And anyway, they then make an assessment to make sure they haven't broken any bones and that you're okay. But they then pass on to a physical therapy unit, occupational physios, I think they call them, not the sort that bend your bones. And what they then do is assess what aids might be of help to you. I've got a perch stool, for instance, that I can use when I'm cooking. So there's no chance of me falling onto the stove. And there are a number of other things. But they are very, very, very kind, courteous, lovely people who actually do something and who you see face to face. And I can't praise this particular unit enough. The eye hospital just looked after me, but suddenly it's dropped me in the middle of midstream. So my eyesight is starting to go again. The surgery, I'm beginning to think that it doesn't exist. I can't talk to anybody, I can't see anybody, and I'm treated with scorn. That's all I can do, is treated with scorn. Now, there are one or two people in that surgery that are okay. So I have to be careful what I say. But you shouldn't have anybody who treats you with scorn. It is not professional, it's not nice, and it's not doing the job properly. As for my Parkinson's nurse, slowly, that's been cut down, so she only sees me twice a year, face to face. The rest of the time is done on the phone. So I haven't a clue what the hell's happening in Parkinson's terms, because there was an article last night about advances that have been made. I haven't a clue, not a clue about these advances, because they are rotten at communication. Now, all these things should not be happening. They shouldn't be happening anyway. They most certainly shouldn't be happening to an 84-year-old man. I get upset. Ooh, ha! Some of you hear me when I'm upset. I think that I'm entitled. And I think I would be entitled if I was 20. We set things up to serve the public. And when they start to serve the operator, then it's time for us to say, halt, and take a second look. And that's the NHS. It's serving the operator, not the public. It doesn't matter how good the doctors and nurses are, and they are good in the main. If you can't see them, if you can't find out how to use them, they might as well stay at home. Back in just a few minutes. Back in just a few minutes. Indeed. That's fine. It's something we haven't played for quite some while. I don't know. That one looks like a good one.